What's going on, guys? Your boy GT back in another video. Today's video we're going to be comparing the Phantom versus the Vandal and which rifle is actually the better rifle in Valorant. We're going to hit a lot of different key points in this video, guys. Everything's going to be timestamped in the description below, so if you want to skip ahead to certain parts, feel free to do that. There's going to be a lot of information in this video. You're not going to miss this one. Let's get straight to that video. Alright, let's get this video started, guys. Not going to waste your time. We're going to head straight into that first topic, which is going to be the statistics for both guns. So the first difference you're going to see from the Phantom and the Vandal is going to be the fire rate. The Phantom has the fire rate of 11 rounds per second, where the Vandal is 9.25 rounds per second. That is going to be a really big difference, guys, especially for up-close fights. The Phantom is going to win like 95% of the time, to be honest with you, just because of that fire rate. It's much more forgiving. If you're missing your shots and you're hitting only chest shots, for example, since the Phantom has a faster fire rate, it's going to hit more shots faster and you're going to die compared to the Vandal. If they're both shooting at the same time, the Phantom's going to win 95% of the time. Huge difference. Up next, we have the first shot spread. That's actually be a really big difference as well, because that's why the Phantom has a tighter spread when you're spraying, which is why a lot of pros use the Phantom, because it's easier to spray the gun, control the spray transfer. It's a huge difference. Up next is gonna be the magazine clip size. Phantom wins this round again with a magazine clip size of 30, with the Vandal only at 25. And a lot of people say, oh, it's only 5 bullets. But that 5 bullets could literally save your life, especially if you're up close. It only takes 1 bullet to kill if you're in that 0 to 15 meters with the Phantom. So if you're up close on sight and they're pushing, try to retake or something like that, that 5 bullets could go a long way, so you don't have to reload. Or if you do have a Vandal, for example, you run out of bullets, reload, if somebody peeks you, you're dead. Like that it could come in clutch. It's not the biggest difference, but it does have its advantages, and you'll see it sometimes in game. So up next, we have the bullet drop-off damage. This is the huge one, the one that everyone talks about. The Vandal's a headshot damage pretty much any distance in Valorant. I don't think there's any choke point or any type of lane or view distance that's going to be about 50 meters that the Vandal will not headshot. The Vandal's going to headshot from any range in any map in the game, guys. So that's a huge difference to know compared to both guns. Now, on the opposite side, the Phantom is going to have a huge drop-off on the damage. As soon as you get above that 30-meter difference, the headshot drops all the way down to 124. So on maps like Ascent, even split mid or straight down A, you're not going to be doing a headshot, one-shot kill. So that's a huge difference. 15 meters, guys, is not that far away. That's pretty up close. So the damage drop-off is huge. And that also is the headshot damage drop-off. It's also for the body and legs. A lot of people don't mention that in the videos, guys. The body and the leg damage also has a drop-off, not just the headshots. But the Vandal has no drop-off for head, the body, or the legs whatsoever. So the damage is consistent throughout 0 to 50 meters. So that's pretty much anytime you're shooting that gun, the damage is consistent. All right, and then the last one is going to be the tracers. I actually died from this in my game before. I'm literally recording this video. So the Vandal, if you're shooting through smoke, it has bullet tracers, which means you're going to see exactly where the person is firing from, where the bullets are coming from smoke. So if you're on the opposite side of smoke, you can literally see where they're spraying from and literally shoot them through smoke without seeing them. Literally happened to me earlier, but I knew this and I was spraying through smoke anyways, and I died for a minute. But the Phantom, on the other hand, guys, does not have bullet tracers. So if you're spraying through smoke, they will have no idea where you're shooting from, like 0 idea. Which it comes in clutch, because if you have a smoke down and you know this person is always holding this one angle on sight or something like that, you spray through smoke and you might be able to get a free kill. I've gotten so many kills just spraying through smoke blindly and the thing is, if I had a Vandal and I'm spraying like that, they could literally see exactly where I'm shooting from and kill me compared to the Phantom. All right, from the statistics, guys, we're gonna make a little pros and cons list now. Starting with the Phantom, as the pros, has a better fire rate, tighter first shot spread, bigger magazine size, and it has no bullet tracers. The cons, though, is the hard damage fall off from 0 to 15 meters, and then 15 to 30 meters, and then 30 to 50 meters as a huge drastic damage drop off. For the Vandal, the only pro we really have is gonna be no damage fall off whatsoever for the head, body, or legs. The damage consistent all the way through 0 to 50 meters. The cons, though, it's got a slower fire rate, not as tight first shot spread, smaller magazine size, and of course the bullet tracers are gonna be visible to enemies. So now, just from those causes, just from the statistics, guys, it probably is going to look like the Phantom is like by far the better gun, without a doubt. But statistics does not always show the full story, guys. So now we're going to be moving on to spraying both guns on the range, guys. I'm using the Phantom and the Vandal. I'm going to spray both at the exact same starting location on the target. And then I'm going to put screenshots up at the end of both sprays on the screen so you can see the differences. Now, good thing to keep it to account if you come from CSGO. In CSGO, the spray patterns are the same every single time you spray the gun. They do not change. So you can memorize the spray patterns and get really good with spraying the gun. It's different in Valorant. They're not going to be the same every time. They're not consistent. There's a lot of randomness in the sprays. Usually the first, I would say about 10 bullets are pretty consistent. After that, when it goes to that side-to-side wobble, it's inconsistent. It gets really, really inconsistent. Now, with that being said, though, if we take a look at the Phantom on the left-hand side now in these images, it does have a much tighter spray or much tighter spread compared to the Vandal. The Vandal, the vertical, it kicks a lot harder on the vertical side. It's not as tight spraying that gun. The first 3 bullets are real tight, and then after that, it just starts to kick, and the distance between bullets gets higher up until it gets to that side-to-side horizontal wobble. But on the Phantom, it's pretty tight from each bullet up, so you don't have to pull down as hard, and it's easier to control while spraying. It's probably why a lot of pros use the gun. It's also easier to spray transfer the gun as well. With that being said, I think a lot of low elo players and players in general just coming to the game are going to have a much easier time spraying the Phantom and spray transferring with the Phantom compared to the Vandal. Now, some people will say the Vandal's easier to spray transfer. I like spraying with the Phantom. I think it's easier. I think without a doubt, the Phantom is much easier to spray with, guys. That's my personal opinion. I think that's why a lot of pros use it, besides the fast fire and all that stuff we talked about earlier. But the whole spread of those first 10 bullets, the bullets are actually consistent, are much tighter. So I think it's much easier to control that compared to the Vandal. The Vandal is not as easy to control compared to the Phantom. All right, guys. So there's a lot of agents that I think is better suited to use a Phantom, and then some agents that are better suited to use a Vandal. Now we're gonna go with the Phantom first. Agents like Brimstone, Omen, Viper, Jet, Cypher, I think those agents are better suited to use the Phantom. The reasons why, all of them have some type of smoke ability. Cypher has this cage, pretty much like smoke. So basically, as we went over earlier, the Phantom has no bullet tracers. They're not visible to the enemies. So when you're throwing those smokes, you can be spraying through those smokes. Most of the time, you're playing around those smokes. Especially like Omen, where you're teleporting in and out through your smokes. You're playing around the smokes a lot. Jet is the same way. So be able to spray through smoke and not letting the enemy know exactly where your position is by spraying is huge. So I think those agents have smoke abilities. I think a Phantom is much better in those hands because a lot of times you are going to be spraying through smokes, especially if you hear people coming. If you're holding down a site, you throw smoke down, you know they're coming. You could pre-fire that smoke right before they push. You can pretty much wipe teams like that. You can pick up easy picks like that. So those agents have those smoke abilities. Just from that alone, I think the Phantom is better in their hands. And even Brimstone, for example, with the stim beacon, the Phantom Ray has a faster fire rate. With the stim beacon, it's even faster than the Vandal. So I think that's another even reason for Brimstone alone compared to the other ones that just have the smokes, though. Now, moving on to the Vandal, agents that are pretty much entry fraggers, Phoenix, Breach, Reyna, even Sage, I think is better with the Vandal. The reason I say this, guys, is because I think the Vandal is a much better T-side weapon, or it's much better for attacking. Most of the time, you flash out, you peek, boom, you hit that headshot, they're done. No matter what range, there's no damage drop off. A lot of the times, especially because I'm pretty much a main Phoenix. That's my main agent. If I'm on attack side, most of the time we'll take a Vandal. Not all the time, because we're going over the certain maps, so that gun's better. But for the most part, guys, those attacking agents, I think the Vandal is much, much better. You pretty much peek, boom, you line at the headshot, especially if you have some type of intel that you know exactly where they are, so you can peek and you already have that crosshair lined up for the headshot. I think the Vandal is a much better gun. Now, you're probably wondering why I said Sage. The reason I put Sage in this, guys, because we're slow orbs. When using those slow orbs, guys, they're moving very, very slow, and sometimes not even moving. And if they're shift walking or walking through or slows, they're barely moving. And it's very easy to line up headshots or peek and pretty much hit your shots because they're not moving. It's much easier to hit a target that's not moving compared to a target that's moving and strafing, you know, crouching left, right. It's much harder to hit a target that's moving. So with Sage's slow orbs, I think it's much easier to consistently hit those headshots when they're slowed. So that's why I think Sage is better with the Vandal, because you get those slow orbs from far away. And once you're out of those 15-meter range, the Phantom's not gonna hit one-shot headshot. So I think, honestly, with those slow orbs, I think the Vandal is actually better in Sage's hands. So now we're gonna go over all the different maps, which you're gonna want to be using. We're starting off with Ascent. This map, I honestly think you should be using a Vandal like 95% of the time, to be honest with you. A lot of the times where you're peeking, for example, at the start of the round, you're peeking here, you're looking at cat, usually someone's holding here. That's a long shot. That's way over the 30-meter yards that the damage fall off for the Phantom. They'll only do 124 for a headshot. If they have a Vandal, they hit the head, you're dead. There's no way you're winning that. If somebody, say, holding right here and looking all the way up on cat, or A main, that shot's even farther. There's like the Vandal's gonna win that if they hit a headshot. Even same here, if they're holding up in heaven and you're pushing up A, you're not gonna win that either. Someone's watching back here CT, you're pushing to B main. That one's, I mean, closer, but still, that's not a one-shot kill for Phantom either. So if they're holding with a Vandal, they hit the headshot, you're dead. Pretty much, like, the majority of the map, like, say even if they're like flanking you and you're like here and then they pushing from the back for some reason, and that's probably gonna happen, but you never know. This one happens though, if you take A and you're rotating to B for your team. Like, all these shots, guys, are extremely over that 30-meter range, to the point where, like, the Vandal for the one-shot kill, if the person hits the headshot, if you have a Phantom, enemy has a Vandal, you both hit the headshot at the same time, the Vandal's gonna win every single fight. On the majority of these, the majority of the areas you're gonna be peeking on this map, the Vandal's gonna win compared to the Phantom if the person's hitting their shots. That's why I think the majority of the time, guys, on this map, the Vandal you're gonna want to go with. Don't get me wrong, if you're holding, for example, somewhere on like B site, so if you're, say, like on site, literally like here, and they're waiting for them to poke here, or you're playing like right here, then yeah, the Phantom is probably gonna be pretty good, because you're holding somewhere tight. Those shots is gonna be real close. That's in the range of one-shot headshot kill, 15 meters. So yeah, do something like that, 100%. I think you should, you know, have a Phantom. But for the most part, you're not playing sight though. You're gonna be watching, say, even from market from here. Even then, I mean, I guess you could have a Phantom, but I still think Vandal's better for the most part. And then, say if you have the transition to go to A, or if you wanted, like, your mid gets picked off, you have to go mid, and you're watching mid now, that far shots, like anywhere you're looking. So I still think, even on site, you still want to have a Vandal. Just from any situation you might go into, the Vandal's probably the gun you want to have in your hands, to be honest. Now we're on to Bind. So Bind, honestly, I would say situational. I think you can use both guns very well. On this map, I would stay to the principle that Phantom's a better defensive gun. On defense, have the Phantom. And on offense, I say rock the Vandal, because I think the Vandal's a better gun for offense. For the most part, I mean, even on defense, depending where you're holding, like if you're holding, say, like, and you're in heaven, and you're, you know, peeking all the way from back here, that shot, the Vandal's probably going to be better for holding that. But for the most part, you're holding like real tight choke points. If you're holding back here, watching showers. If you're even playing, say you're like back here in cubby, watching from A main, or if you're on B, you're playing back here, wait for them to push up. Anything that come here is gonna be real close, tight shots. For the most part on this map, yeah, I would say have a Phantom for defense, Vandal for offense, guys. All right, on Split, guys, this one isn't so 50-50, to be honest. This map is really situational. Depending on what you're holding, I'd say have a different gun, because that mid-range to long range, the Vandal is the king. So if you're watching mid, say if you don't have an op, you're rocking a Vandal. If you're watching, say, from here on defense, and they're gonna be peeking either outside of, you know, market, or they're coming from sewers, so right here, for the most part, that's one-shot kill. Phantom is not gonna be one-shot headshot kill there. So honestly, if you're watching mid, I say have a Vandal. Even with A, to be honest, where you're holding, even if you're like, say you're up on ramps here and they're pushing up through A, Phantom's not gonna be one-shot kill. Or if you're watching from back here, CTA side, and you're watching all the way down here for that shot, the Vandal's gonna be the better gun. But for example, I think if you're playing actually on site, or you're watching entryway, so for example, if a B, say you're being cheesy and you're playing back here, that's pretty close shot, Phantom all the way. If you're playing like actually on site, say here, and you're watching as soon as they walk somewhere right here, Phantom's better. If you're playing backside here, wait for them to walk up somewhere here, Phantom's gonna be better. So I think depending where you're playing at, guys, is the type of gun you want to use. For the most part though, on offense, I still say use the Vandal, because the majority of the times you're peeking, like for example the ones I went over, peeking this, that's gonna be a headshot kill for the Vandal, not the Phantom. That long shot here, if they're back of A, you're gonna want a Vandal. If you're peeking mid, 100% want a Vandal. So yeah, I think for the most part, guys, attacking on this map on split, I think Vandal is gonna be better defense. 100% defense Phantom on this map. That doesn't mean though that the Phantom it doesn't work. I'm just taking into account once you get to really high rank and people's first shot accuracy is really good, when you peek and you're going in those long shots and they have a Vandal not a Phantom, you're gonna lose, to be honest, if you have a Phantom and not a Vandal. So for those long shots, honestly, if you have really good first shot accuracy, you want a Vandal in your hands. This last map's gonna be Haven. I don't want to sound like a broken beated drum, but honestly, it's gonna sound pretty close to the same, guys. Depending where you are is what gun you want to use, but typically on offense, I think Vandal's gonna be better, and on defense, the Phantom's gonna be better. Not necessarily though. If you're holding C, for example, with a Vandal, if you're playing like the back of C and you're looking all the way down here when they peek, that's a very long shot. Vandal's is definitely gonna be better there. Vandal's much better for those burst shots, the tapping. That's a very long shot, 100% Vandal. If you're watching A from heaven up there and they're pushing down from A long, that's definitely a Vandal. But for the most part, if you're playing on A site, especially if you're playing on site, like behind here or here, and you're watching so they push up or waiting for them to push up, if you're watching like short or A long from behind the little that middle plate or that middle block, Phantom's gonna be better. If you're playing on B site, for the most part, I mean, that shot here, if you're actually peeking mid, then yeah, the Vandal, I would say. But for the most part, if you're actually on B and they're pushing up, they'll be back here or even A link, we're looking here, Phantom 100%. So I'd say for the most part in this map, guys, I would say the Phantom is better, except for like if you're pushing C long, or if you're going like A, that's really the only part. If you pick A long, because you're gonna be like right here peeking all the way down to here, that A long Vandal. For the most part though, I'd say Phantom's better. If you're like walking all the way up to garage here, you're walking and you're right here and then you peek in here, anything here, or if they're around the corner here, or even watching this right here, that close range, the Phantom with faster fire rate, more forgiving, headshot is still gonna be one shot kill. So the majority of the time on this map, guys, I think the Phantom is actually going to be a better gun. Vandal's still good for those situations, but for the most part, guys, you're gonna want to rock that the Phantom. All right, guys, so I know this video is a little bit longer than the typical video that I do. There's just a lot of information to cover, guys, but without a doubt, you should know which rifle is better for you in Valorant. Depending on the agent you use, what map you're on, you should know exactly which rifle you should be using. But if you did find all this information useful, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, guys. It definitely helps the channel grow and it's much appreciated. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.